Well, hey everybody, today is Saturday, the 16th of August, the year is 2025, and they got a lot going on over there with that precast wall system, and I got some video from over there that I'll cut in this video so we can all get an idea of what that looks like. I just talked to that guy right there, and he told me that that wall has a name, but we don't know the name. He doesn't. Right now they call it a casting wall, and that makes sense because it's casting. And right in the middle of it is where they're putting the field, and then going to put the concrete walking trail. So on this side, they got the casting set up on both sides. In other words, there's a wall. See that bobcat? It's in between the two walls. Now you can see the walking trail going that way, and as it comes back, it's going to connect right through there. So you can see it take off. They'll fill it up with this elevation. So one side of the wall is up and not the other. And everything they're doing on this side, they'll duplicate on the other side of the highway. Ain't that something?
Welcome to today's presentation on the history of the Chadwick Flyer. This is the Frisco's more famous branch line that ran from Springfield via Ozark down to Chadwick. It has been in the news as of late as there are plans by the Greenway folks to make it into a bike trail, specifically a section from Springfield to Ozark, which I'll be touching upon that later in the presentation. The fourth depot that we come across on the Chadwick is the Ozark Depot. This is probably one of the most photographed areas or towns on the entire line. Mr. Pullen actually shot quite a bit more in the Christian / Stone County area. He seemed to be enamored with that area, so we have a lot of photographs from Mr. Pullen. And this is of the depot that also functions as a section house, which we'll cover here in a little bit. You can see here where the depot originated or basically sat. Now today, a lot of people go down to Finleyfarms. Johnny Morris has redone the old mill down there, which you can see on this topographical map here, showing where the mills was located next to the Finley River. If you come back a little ways, you can actually see where the depot and the water tank was. You can see all this better in this photograph that gives us a very unique view of how all the depot and the water tank in that area was laid out. This is a floor plan that comes from the MSU archives, and it shows both stories. So you can see the waiting room, the ticket office, and the freight and baggage, and upstairs was a living room, kitchen, dining room, and bedroom. And this is the way most of these section houses were laid out. But like I said, this one is also a section house / ticket office. This actually shows a picture of what a section gang looks like. So their duty was to traverse a section of the line every day and look for loose railroad ties, loose spikes, rails that had popped up, and different things of that nature. And so they were there to ensure that you had a nice smooth ride. This is probably the more famous picture that most people have seen of the Chadwick Flyer in Ozark, and this comes from Wayne Glenn's collection. So the train needs water, and not all water is good water. As we know, living here in the Ozarks, the water around here can be quite horrible. So if you can get it from a good spring that maybe has a little softer water, that's always the best option. So they would actually pull water for the water tank from the Garrison Spring, which is still there. And it was a popular place to go picnic. Some of the lovely ladies of the day are sitting there getting their photograph taken. And a lot of people look over and go, oh my goodness, this water tank has a horrible problem. It was actually designed to leak, and that was to prevent the water from freezing on the inside. And so there's a gentleman, you can barely see him snuck in there in between all the ice. So now we come to another interesting thing that was very common on the Frisco line, and that was the farmers bringing their goods to market. So while they're at the station near the mill, it was uncommon to load up the train or unload the train there. So this was a scene where a lot of people would get together. It was kind of our Facebook of the day. This is where everybody got together and shared their information and got to see everybody. So it was kind of cool. So once it left the Ozark station, it's now headed on its next run. And so the big obstacle it had was crossing the Finley River. And as we all know around here, the Finley River has a nasty habit of flooding. And this is actually a photograph that was taken during the 1909 flood on the Howe Truss Bridge. Now this bridge was quite interesting in the way it was structured. It was a very ornate looking bridge. And it was interesting that, like everybody today that are Instagrammers, there were some early Instagrammers getting their picture taken on the bridge. You're not supposed to do this, folks, because trains could come by and you could get hit. So please don't do that. It makes the railroaders very upset if they hit you. It takes a while to clean you off. So the bridge survives multiple floods. In fact, you'll see coming up, in this picture in the bottom corner, there is a wooden covered bridge that used to traverse over the Finley going to the mill. And unfortunately, during the flood of 1909, it got damaged and actually was shoved up against the Frisco stone Howe Truss Bridge. And so it would have to be replaced. And you see its replacement here, which is still there. And that bridge is very similar to the one that was further upstream that would now be sitting also kind of catty corner from there as part of the Finley Farms compound.